2025 has comfortably been the poorest year for the Triple H regime since he took over. Now, there are several reasons as to why that is that I've come up with that I will go over in this video. I have pinpointed the formula to turn WWE around, all of the things that WWE needs to shore up so that they can make their product much, much better than it's been throughout this whole year. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate your time. Let's hop into this. All right, so one of the biggest issues that WWE has had in 2025 has been SmackDown, and not even its inconsistency, because there's been no times where it's even been halfway decent or halfway good. Those have been few and far between. So inconsistency, I don't even think is a good word to use. I think just consistent poor product, poor output would be a better term to use to describe SmackDown this year. Consistent bad quality would be more descriptive, more accurate of how SmackDown has been. It's been one of the more embarrassing parts of WWE in 2025, and the biggest reason as to why it's been that way is because of Road Dogg. Now, Triple H has not been very hands-on with SmackDown this year. If he was hands-on with SmackDown, it would not be actively bad, it would just be passively kind of mediocre. But I digress. Road Dogg has been at the center of SmackDown. Triple H gave Road Dogg SmackDown earlier in the year, and because of that, SmackDown has been struggling mightily since he took over. Nobody is getting over on SmackDown. Guys like Carmelo Hayes are floundering beneath the mid-card with The Miz, and Julia is doing absolutely nothing except walking around with Kiana James and competing in matches against Michin and B-Fab. There is no discernible creative direction for the young stars, which should be getting prioritized over people like The Miz and over people who, let's be honest, don't deserve time on TV, who don't deserve to be heavily featured. People like Nia Jax. So that has been SmackDown's biggest fault, has been its inability to get over young stars. Again, people like Carmelo Hayes, people like Julia, they just can't nail them down. And acts like Tiffany Stratton have also struggled to really get in rhythm, to really get in stride, because the atmosphere on SmackDown, everything around them is so poor. And all of that is a product of bad vision and bad creative. And all of that comes from Road Dogg. So Road Dogg needs to step away. He needs to get away from SmackDown. He needs to remove himself from all plans and all creative duties that SmackDown calls of him. And he needs to fade into the background. There needs to be new minds and fresh ideas that take over for SmackDown. Because right now, nothing is being accomplished. Nothing is being achieved on SmackDown. It is a dead brand that accomplishes absolutely nothing and it gets absolutely nowhere. Now, SmackDown has struggled to find consistent quality. They've struggled to find wrestlers who give them consistent quality, who give them matches, and who give them segments that are consistently good. They can just call on, give them the microphone, put them in the ring, and they can give them something that you'll remember at the end of the show. They can give them a performance that will stick out, that the crowd will go home talking about. They've struggled to find that really in 2025. They've really struggled to find someone who they can just call on like that when they need a quality segment. But recently, Sami Zayn has been that guy for SmackDown. Sami Zayn has started to kind of be this quality guy. He started to be a guy that SmackDown can call upon whenever they need a good match, a good segment, whenever they need a jolt of energy. He can be that guy for them. We saw on SmackDown when he went up against Carmelo Hayes and when he went up against Javon Evans. Those were incredible matches, and those were also matches that took SmackDown from its dreadful first hour into a much better second hour. He's the guy who can bring a show up. He can elevate the show he's on, and he's giving that to SmackDown. He's offering that to SmackDown. So they need to double down on him. They need to get a creative mind in there. They need to get someone who isn't named Road Dogg, who can really double down on Sami Zayn and who can use him to his full potential, who can feature him heavily and feature him to his full potential and optimize Sami Zayn, who can optimize him when they need to. So Sami Zayn is an ace in the hole for SmackDown, and they really need to optimize what they have. They need to maximize what they have in Sami Zayn because he is their best source of quality currently. So SmackDown needs to gain some semblance of consistent quality. They need a mind who can bring that out of the brand, and they need more acts like Sami Zayn. Now, not everyone is Sami Zayn. It's hard to find anyone on the planet who is like Sami Zayn. He's that great. But they need to find someone who can bring this out of the brand, who can kind of take Sami Zayn, take the type of skills and type of things that he offers to SmackDown, and They need someone who can permeate that throughout the entire brand. They need someone who can really bring that out of multiple wrestlers on the roster. It's needed that it's not just Sami Zayn. It is necessary that Sami Zayn is not just the only guy who is being this consistent source of quality for SmackDown. It is necessary that they find other names to call on when they need a good match, a good segment, when they need just a spark of energy. So it is necessary that wrestlers step up to the plate and that a fresh, creative mind steps up to the plate, rises to the occasion, and brings it out of everyone on the roster and elevates the show to where it could be and where it should be. So that's one. SmackDown needs to turn around. They have Sami Zayn. They have a consistent quality guy, but they need that energy to permeate throughout the roster, and they need the show to be elevated in the process. So that's one thing that WWE needs to do to turn around their product as a whole. But what's another? Well, let's talk about pay-per-views, okay? Pay-per-views in 2025 for WWE have been honestly mediocre, and we just sat and watched WrestlePalooza on September 20th, which was a very mediocre show. It was a very just so-so show. It really didn't do much to inspire you to watch more WWE pay-per-views this year. And I think part of that is due to the uninspired matchmaking and booking and pacing of the show. Pay-per-views need an expansive makeover in WWE, not only on a match card level. Not only do they need to expand the number of matches they have from 5 to maybe 6, 7, or 8, but they also need to pace it better. They need to just, in general, make the energy of the show, how the show comes across, they need to make that a lot more palatable and a lot more consumable for the average fan. There are lots of things that bring these shows down. The first of which is the fact that it is a 5-match card, and we're paying $30 for 5 matches. That is absolutely preposterous. That is ludicrous. And it is absolutely not worth it. The types of matches we are seeing, the quality that we're getting is just not worth $30. So that's one, and I've already touched on that in my previous videos, so I'm not going to go over it here. But the next one, which is something I have not seen a lot of people touching on, and one that I have not touched on myself, is the pacing. The pacing is slow. It is very plodding and very boring. You'll have one match which takes up, let's say, 14 minutes. And then after that 14-minute match, they will go to shots of the city skyline. They will go to video packages. They'll go to ads for about 10 to 12 minutes until the entrances of the next match. I mean, it takes them forever to get from point A to point B on their pay-per-views, on their big shows. And it really brings down what you're seeing. It really dilutes, it detracts from what you're seeing on the show. Any pent-up, built-up energy you had left over from the last match is sucked out of you by the time the next match happens, because you've seen a million ads and you've seen a million shots of the city skyline, and it doesn't help anything. I don't understand what it benefits. It's a wrestling show. It is not a photography show. Why am I seeing shots of Chicago's city skyline? I would like to see the next match, please. It's frustrating that they feel the need to pace their shows like this, because it feels like we see more ads and more in-between time than we do actual wrestling. It is really frustrating and really, really just something that would get on your nerves. It gets on my nerves. So the pacing is an issue. And kind of in conjunction with that, the pacing, but also the energy that the shows exude, how the shows come across is an issue. The shows come across very corporate, very filtered, and just so fake. Now, this is an issue because wrestling at its core is not meant to come across fake. It's meant to come across unfiltered, real, and interactive. But WWE's big shows do not come across that way. Rather, they come across just very businesslike. They come across very shallow, and they come across very glossy, which I don't think helps them. I don't think the big LED boards that they put up on the stage and all the lights in the crowd necessarily help the product they put out. It kind of really takes away from what they put out and how that product comes across. Pay-per-views need a big makeover. SmackDown needs to be more consistent. Those are two things. Let's hop into another. So I've talked about consistent sources of quality for WWE, but what has been the most consistent source of quality? Well, for me, it's been the women. It's been the women of WWE. It's been Becky Lynch. It's been Lyra Valkyria, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky. I could keep naming names, but the women of WWE have been absolutely spectacular this year. And WWE needs to double down on their women. They need to double down on the quality that they give them and they need to feature them more heavily. Between Lyra Valkyria's elevation story, her push, Becky Lynch's heel turn and how successful that has been, Rhea Ripley being the undeniable ace of the women's division, and Io Sky being literally one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, WWE's women have been their consistent success story throughout this year. So they need to double down on them. They need to make them a bigger part of the product than they already are, especially on SmackDown when you see women like Julia being absolutely shafted at every turn. It is imperative that WWE use these women to their fullest extent. It is imperative that they continue to use them heavily and use them, maximize them, optimize them, get the absolute most out of them, because I think they've done a very good job of that, especially on Raw, where you have women like Roxanne Perez who are getting pushed. They're finding their rhythm. They're getting in stride. Rhea Ripley is the ace of the women's division. Io Sky is incredible. You have women like that, and they're doing a great job of featuring them, but you want to feature them more heavily, and you want to put them in more high-profile stories and more thought-out stories and more high-effort programs. You want to see a little bit more, even if they've already done a lot with the women this year. You do want to see a little bit more effort put into down the line. So the women have been the most consistent source of quality for WWE in 2025. They've been the highlight of WWE. They've been the standard. They've been the bar that really everyone else in the company has struggled to kind of exceed. They've struggled to exceed the heights of Lyra versus Becky, or Rhea versus Io at Evolution, or Rhea versus Bianca versus Io. They've struggled to exceed that bar. They've struggled to fly higher than that. And so because of that, we see the women being the standard bearers. We see them being the best thing that WWE has to offer this year. So WWE has to double down on them. They have to continue to put effort into their stories, and I'd say put even more effort into their programs. They have to continue to put in high value stories in their women's division. They have to continue to prioritize them and put them really at the top of the totem pole, because that's where they belong. Great division they got going on, but we can see a little bit more, and if they double down on them, then that would really behoove WWE to do, and it would really be a part of the formula to turn WWE around. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate you watching and making it to the end. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like and subscribe. That would mean the world to me. It would help my channel grow. It would help this video get seen by more people, so that would really help me out, and it would help me out in the algorithm. I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. So until next time, guys, see ya.